Welcome back to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. I'm CarrieVee, your biggest fan. And on this podcast, we are talking all things leadership, communication, confidence, clarity, and life. And joining us today is Emily Merrell from the Second Degree Society. And she helps us take the ick out of networking. I love this. I love everything about her. We have spoken before. She's amazing. So without further ado, Emily, welcome to the show and tell us what is lighting you up today.
Oh, CarrieVee, I think what's lighting me up is your intro. I love a good rhyme, and I love something that rolls off your tongue. And I imagine if you said that 10 times fast, you could create a whole new tongue twister for us in the world. But I'll say something that's lighting up. Before this call, I don't know if you ever get in these ruts, but where you're like, I'm just working from home, I'm doing my thing, and you forget that you're an entrepreneur and you can leave your home and you can dictate your own schedule, which is kind of wild, right? And I went once a month. There's a local organization called Well Women Denver, and it's at a local like play center, so kids can come. I didn't bring mine, but people brought theirs, and it's just so great to connect with other like-minded individuals first thing in the morning, just catch up. It feels like a little family reunion, and a shot of espresso before heading back to sitting inside my home.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. And getting out from what you are normally surrounded with makes your creative juices just wake up. Do you feel like that?
And my favorite part, and this is a very informal networking group that's free. It's focused mostly on wellness providers of some sort. So these are people who are holistic health coaches and acupuncturists and therapists, and basically people that you want to hire for every single part of your body, mind, and spirit. And then I pop in, I'm like, and I'm a business coach, and good to see you all. I don't do any of the things you do, but I champion all of those people. And I'm always so inspired and eager to reinvest my money in someone who can help me learn, grow personally and professionally.
So before I ask you about the Second Degree Society, tell us how you got into this mindset of this being willing to invest in others and in yourself. As I don't know about you, but as an entrepreneur, I hear more people than not be so afraid to make that investment especially into themselves. How did you come on this path?
Such a great question to reflect on, because it was not always the case. Oh, I also want to preface, you might hear dogs wanting to go out at some point, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry for any.
We never apologize for dogs. Huge dog person over here.
I feel Carrie. I have three dogs that are pitter-pattering around that I'm watching today. But anywho, yeah. So investing in myself, I was very anti-investing in myself the first year of business. I was very guarded with my money, and I was actually really proud of myself of what I could get by trading. I traded everything and anything. If you wanted an organ, I probably would have given it to you if you could help me with something in some capacity. Fun fact that I thought about today. I actually traded planning a SEO expert's son's bar mitzvah in exchange for like 4 months of SEO on my website.
Wow.
I'm not a bar mitzvah planner, but I can do the thing to get it. So anywho, yeah, I would trade and barter and always ask for things as a swap. And then it got to a point probably 3 years into my business, and I'm now 8 years into my business, where I was like, I want to invest in more. And I had a business coach straight out of the gate, which was my only investment. And you would laugh at how little I was paying this woman compared to what I've made investments in now. But I really think of it kind of like investing in the stock market, where you have to put the money in knowing that you're going to ride the waves. And then the hope is that the market will do well and your return is going to really feed you and your business.
Yeah, that I love that mental picture that you just gave.
Great. I just came up with it.
Yeah. Really, really good. Yeah. Use it a lot. It really did make my mind go there. We check our investments every single month, and sometimes it is hard. Like I'll hand it to my husband and say, don't shoot the messenger. I didn't cause this,
Thanks, Tesla.
Yeah. But the hope is that it is, even if there are peaks and valleys, that the peaks are getting higher each
Definitely.
or
And
over time. Yeah.
And this, working with people, like there will be those peaks of the win after win, and then there is a valley where they're looking at you as someone holding space for them, or even in me in the position of hiring someone, of being like, I should be further along, or I should be richer, or I should be. And so, yeah, being in that mindset of knowing that it's not an on-demand Uber. It's not something that is going to give you that gratification and satisfaction in the moment. It's something that hopefully, if you put the work in and the energy in, will net out to where you want it to be.
Yes. That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Great question.
So let's dig into the Second Degree Society. Tell us about the Second Degree Society.
Well, I am really passionate about bringing humans together. And it's funny because when I was a 20-something-year-old that created it, I didn't know how to bring people. I didn't see anything that existed that was bringing people of different backgrounds together. And so what I mean is, when you start a corporate job, you're typically really siloed in that corporate job. I was in fashion, so the events that were proposed to me were mostly fashion-focused events. So I was meeting like another version of myself, or another version of myself who was working in a similar industry. So how do you learn beyond your own little microcosm if you don't go to events or experiences to do that, or really push yourself to do it? And the only things that I saw existing at that point in my life were like General Assembly. You could become a coder, or you could learn how to build a website, but you don't know unless you're exposed to those people. And I've always been a people collector. I moved around a bunch as a kid and been really good at keeping in touch with individuals, and figured, what if I made it easier and created a space that would bring humans together in a way where they can show up as themselves, not like what you do as your day job. And so, long story long, I decided to bring people together, but rather than them meeting a room of 42 humans, I handpick who you meet while networking. So you get everyone's bios, pictures, job titles, companies, and emails sent to you in advance. So you can read about who the room is before you get there, pre-stalk them, and then I handpick who you meet. So you are intentionally connecting with, depending, 2 to 4 people at the event. And then you still have that opportunity to continue connecting once the event's over.
And it's brilliant.
It's so simple.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And yet, I am quite sure I've never met anyone else who is doing it this way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So do these events take place in person, online, a combination?
So when I was a 20-something-year-old, a long, long time ago, everything happened in New York City because, Carrie, New York City was the mecca of my world.
Yeah.
Nothing existed beyond New York City. There was no world or civilization beyond New York. I didn't know if you knew that.
I do.
And then I started getting these asks from people in different cities, in different parts of my life, who would pop up on Facebook or Instagram and be like, would you ever want to do this in Chicago? I'd love to help you coordinate this and make it happen. How about Atlanta? How about?
Yeah.
And so before I knew it, I was at this crossroads moment where I wasn't fulfilled by my corporate job. I was in a time of my life where I was single. I had no life responsibility beyond paying my rent, and figured, like, let's give it a go. And so I grew the community to 10 markets across the country, which was super fun. And then it wasn't until the pandemic that I pivoted and offered virtual events. And it's funny, it's like, it's a hindsight is 2020
Yeah.
thing. In that, like, would I have had success in virtual events had I tried it before 2020?
Hmm.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love virtual events, and because it's given me the opportunity where these markets that were so siloed, like it was a Chicago event or a DC event, now everyone gets to be in one virtual room. So I've scaled back on the cities that I host in real life, and I host at least one event virtually each week.
Wow. So what is your what is the time like for you to plan one of these? And how do you connect with the people that you are inviting in?
So I plan once like for you, if we planned an event right now, which I'd love to do,
Oh,
I'd be like, Carrie, I would propose a date for you. So I have my calendar is planned out till about September. And I'd be like, Carrie, would you be able to do September 3rd? And you say yes. And then I give you 2 time options. And then you tell me the time. And then I ask for the event title and event description. I make it live. And we have members who pay monthly, quarterly, or annually. And then if not the members, I have like over 11,000 people on my mailing list that I send out to. And then I also provide a free code for my speaker to promote it to their audience. So a big way in which we've grown, we don't do PR, we don't do Facebook ads. We probably should, but it's been organic growth of
wow.
like word of mouth, and you then sharing it with your audience, and then that person having a good time. And they don't have to be a member; they can show up to events a la carte and pay for them each event. But there's definitely more perks being a member to the community.
What are some of those perks?
So some of those perks include being on a podcast with me, with your show, um, annual coaching call with me, so helping them work on whatever they're stuck in their life. I have a Circle community. I don't know if you're familiar with Circle. It's like
No.
Facebook and Slack had a baby, basically. It's
Okay.
really, really cool because then people can, it's a, we're a promo friendly community. So you can promote your upcoming program or event or birthday party, whatever the heck you want to promote. And then it comes with the opportunity to host an event. So most of our events are member-led events, which has been really a cool way to give people kind of like a fast track to doing the things that people need and / want to do for their business, but don't know who to do it for or where to do it.
Ah, this is so fascinating. I'm loving all of this.
Yeah.
So, what has been your what is one of your favorite events that you've held, whether in live or virtually? A favorite. It doesn't have to be the
Yeah.
of a favorite.
It's going to be a 2-part answer. So we did a 4-part series back in the pre-pandemic days where we partnered with Luna Bar. And, Luna Bar is a subsidiary of Cliff Bar. And they had an initiative called Your Worth is Worth Negotiating. So we created a 4-part series in Chicago, LA, New York, and San Francisco, where we identified the speakers, and they paid the speakers, but I got the venue, the people, the whole kit and caboodle. It was so fun hearing the different stories and perspectives about worth and how that worked. And one of the panelists was this extraordinary human being named Beatrice Falua Espada. She is the founder of the Honey Pot Co., which is a feminine hygiene care product company. And we ended up doing a sponsored event with her in 2 cities after this relationship called the Vagina Dialogues, an intimate conversation about your intimates. So we did the connection parts at the beginning, those 2 curated connections, and then we did a moderated panel where we had femtech founders and like sex advocates and whatnot, on the panel to have this conversation that there's no real place that we have this. And yeah, I'll just say one of the coolest parts and full circle moments for me in that panel was I had a gal named Polly Rodriguez on the panel who created like a femtech space, and I studied abroad with her. And so to like go full circle of this college age girl who had no idea what she was going to do with her life, be able to invite someone I was in Spain with, it was really cool.
So if it sounds very, very cool. There's so much running through my head right now. So if someone came to you and said, how do you create these connections? I mean, how do you create a connection with Luna Bar, a subsidiary of Cliff Bars? In my mind, this feels huge, like way out there. You can go into any store pretty much and buy Luna Bars or Cliff Bars. So how
I had so many for so long.
Chocolate peppermint's still my favorite. So how do you create those
relationships?
Yeah.
So I really believe in life. It's kind of like following the thread and the unravel of things. So with Luna Bar, there was a gal that came to my Chicago events who was the brand marketing manager of Luna Bar. And I remember it was probably like my event was 10 people. It wasn't a fancy event. And I just remember saying to her, we should do something with Luna Bar. She's like, yeah, yeah. And every year I kind of just like pitched her again, like, we should do something with Luna Bar. And then she came to me and she's like, we have this initiative. I thought of you. She helped me figure out the pricing because I had no idea how to price myself for something with Luna Bar. I was like, does $500 an event feel good? And she's like, at least $2,500 an event. I'm like, okay. So it was those nurturing and those kind of like shooting my shot over and over and over again. And I really like I think a lot of times I shoot my shot and I've taken the ego out of being rejected, and I'm rejected more often than people say yes. But at the same time, I wouldn't know if it was possible if I didn't try.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally chasing that failure.
Yeah. Chasing. And today's a perfect example. I signed up for HubSpot. This is a diss to HubSpot for anyone who uses it. They charge you if you like add people to send out contacts wise. And I sent out one list and now they're charging me like an exorbitant amount. And I kept, sorry, the dogs now are reacting. They're pissed at HubSpot too. And so I was like, you must cancel this. Like, you must cancel this. You must cancel this. And I emailed them like every single day. I finally got the email. We'll make a one-time exception. We will cancel. So kind of just keep going, keep knocking until they open the door.
Yeah. And I want to circle back around in case anyone missed this, what you said. This employee, high up employee, was in this event you were hosting with 10 people.
Yeah, not many.
And I think a lot of us, maybe certainly when we began our businesses, we thought we had to be in a room of thousands upon thousands, maybe millions of people in order for that one right person to be there to hear us. And 10 people.
10 people. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't overly special. And what I did, and this is something I'm really passionate about in terms of networking, is I don't remember the exact conversation at the time, but I feel like immediately I was like, who can you meet? Who can I introduce you to? What opportunities can I unlock for you that would be beneficial for Luna Bar before flying my flag and being like, put me in, coach?
Yes, it is brilliant. And especially as a young woman, which you're still a young woman, as a younger woman.
You don't see the grays.
I'm not buying it. So as a younger woman than you are now, but having that insight to really go for that is a true entrepreneurial brain. And it's something we can all develop that skill to really tune into what is going on around us and following the threads, as you said. How scary is it to follow those threads?
It's so scary. And I think the most humbling thing about being an entrepreneur, and I find this, all of my clients come to me with this objection, and I feel like I still have to get over it myself, but is posting on LinkedIn for the first time when you become an entrepreneur and you've left the corporate, if you have been corporate and now you're entrepreneurial, and saying something to the extent of like, hey, I'm starting something on my own, and that vulnerability drop, or like that shame expectation of like, oh, my old boss is going to look at me and then she's going to think I'm pathetic because I can't get a corporate job, and the spiral just begins. So I think it's getting over the hump of like showing up for the people that know you first before you can then show up fully for the people who have no idea who you are.
Yes, that's a great point. So did you start out doing this right out of the gate, or did you work some corporate jobs in the beginning?
I was a corporate galley. My small dog is growling. I'm so sorry, guys, if you were hearing any of this. Okay.
We all love it. It's all
okay. Good. You got some background growls. Hold on. Thank you. So I started my career fun enough in fashion. I did special events and marketing for high luxury fashion companies, starting off at Ralph Lauren in the heydays of Ralph Lauren, where they were opening up their beautiful mansions, and the cater waiters we hired had to be supermodels and their hair had to be perfect. And then from there, I graduated to Tory Burch and ultimately Intermix. And it was funny because one of the things that I took from planning events was making something really turnkey, and the experience very, very much the same. So if you went into a Tory Burch store in Chicago, the feeling, the smell, the experience, the like way you're welcomed should feel the exact same as a store in New York City. And that's very much my biggest takeaway of corporate, was being able to like create the same turnkey experience for SDS, where if I'm hosting it or if you're hosting it, Carrie, it should feel like a warm hug and like a friend's dinner party who you know is going to help you navigate the night.
Yeah.
So that was my fashion career, but I would have to say that I was really good at maintaining those contacts. So from like alcohol providers to venues to there was a lot of I was putting a lot of deposits in unknowingly over the years. So when I started my business as a side hustle initially, I was able to cash in.
That's a really great point to put the spotlight on as well. Those contacts that you're making. A lot of people that I have worked with in my own one-on-one coaching and in working with people with even within corporate is that some people will say, well, I'm just kind of biding my time until I can do what I want. But you are not just simply biding your time. You are building an entire, okay, I'll date myself, an entire Rolodex, if you will, of contacts and people that you are serving now that will jump to help you in your own endeavors, as long as you are serving them while you're in a position that maybe it isn't your lifetime position, but it's certainly a part of your life.
1,000%. And I think the goal of that is leaving a good taste in their mouth. And so when you exit the company, you can still leverage the brand that you worked for. And I'm so fortunate that I worked at these reputable places that it opened doors. Be like, hey, I used to have this high powered position or this, seemingly cool position to some people, that it was easier for people to like, know, and trust me, even if they didn't know me at any point in my life. I'm like, oh, but before this, I was doing this. They're like, oh, okay, then yeah, she must be cool or have clout. And it makes it easier to build trust and a reputable brand, I think, kind of like leapfrogging on the brands of the other brands.
Exactly. And like you said, we're leaving this good taste in their mouth. In other words, we're not manipulating the situation and using people and trying to, well, be manipulative. That's the word I can think of the most. That's not what we're trying. That's not what we're saying. We're saying be you and be the best version of you with the people that you're working with, because you don't know. You just don't know down the future who is going to be able to step in.
You really don't. And even I always thank my first boss at Ralph Lauren. I was a temp, and I don't know if you've ever temped before, but it's a very unstable kind of feeling, because you're like, do they like me enough? Are they going to adopt me? Or are we going to stay? Do I have to job search? And so I ended up actually at Ralph Lauren I was a temp at Ralph Lauren and found a full-time job at Club Monaco. And I was doing HR in Club Monaco. I tried my hand in HR and I realized I don't like this as much as planning. I don't like getting people jobs in this capacity. And my first boss at Ralph Lauren, she moved over to Tory Burch, and the girl under her left, and she thought, hey, let me reach out to Emily and see if she's interested in the position.
Wow.
So I've been so fortunate to have networks look out for me when I'm not even looking out for myself or looking.
Yes. And do you think part of that is because you approached each of these jobs with the mindset of, I'm going to do the best job I can?
Maybe. I probably was not the best employee. I was really good at making allies. And like if, I remember in corporate, fun fact, I went from living in Argentina for a year, kind of being hippy dippy,
Mhm.
and then moving to Ralph Lauren and like
Wow, that's cool.
coming into a very different point of view and experience. But I was really good at being friends with not just my team. And I think making our team more approachable. So creating visibility and creating bridges and collaborations. So I always kind of felt undercover in corporate. I
Mhm.
I felt like everyone was drinking a Kool-Aid that I missed like the Kool-Aid day for. Um, it was to me working, I loved the experience and the opportunities, but I wasn't like I went to fashion school and must work in fashion kind of girl. So I think I had a good head on my shoulder of like, it's a job at the end of the day. This
Yeah.
isn't going to define who I am.
Yes. Yes. So you've always had this great entrepreneurial head on your shoulders.
Which is probably problematic as someone who has to employ me because they're like, she's always like one of the things I would do at Tory Burch, I would find the newest workout studio and I would pitch them and say, hey, can 20 people from Tory Burch come and like have a free Peloton ride or do Pilates? And they're like, yeah, this is amazing. She's setting up a clienteling list for me. And I'm thinking, I get to just hook up my friends and have fun things to do in our work culture and bring us together outside of the work. And I didn't know that I was like accidentally building the future of my business by
Yes.
doing these things.
And I don't know the exact quote. Steve Jobs has said, you can only connect the dots when you look backwards and you see all those threads and you see where they all connect into where you are now. But isn't it fun for you to look back now and know what you were building without even knowing what you were building?
It's so true. It actually, like what you just said, I was like, oh, how did I get connected with Peloton? Oh, I was pitching them under the Tory Burch umbrella, wanting to have fun stuff to offer. And then when I started my own business, it was just like a community at that point. I was like, oh, we had fun at Tory Burch. Can we do it for this group now? And they're like, sure, more free people in front of us. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's amazing that it's awesome how your whole brain works on this. You're definitely doing what you were meant to do.
1,000%. And fun fact, and my mom loves telling this story. In kindergarten, I got in trouble for delaying pickup for people because I had to hug every single person goodbye before I left.
Oh, I can see that. I can see that.
That's me in a nutshell. Like I must hug you. I must connect with you.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So I'll have to pop over to Colorado
Yes.
and get one of those Emily
Please.
Merrell hugs.
I'm a really good hugger. A little back crack in there too, if you want it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can feel it across the screen.
My chiropractor hates it, but it's fine.
I think it sounds fantastic.
No, thank you.
I'm just looking at our time going, how are we at 28 minutes
I
already?
know.
That's insane. This has flown. So before we let you go and beg you to come back again,
Thank
what is your version of your pow pow shoes?
My pow pow shoes?
Your pow pow shoes. You can answer that however you want.
I
Mine
love
are red sparkly stiletto heels that literally say pow pow on the shoes. But you can answer it as your superpower. You can answer however you want.
I love that. Well, I have a pair of those red sparkly stilettos that I got in Soho my senior year of high school that I wrote my college essay on. They were my Wizard of Oz shoes and
Oh,
leading me to my Emerald City. They were like probably reading this essay and they're like, you're applying to a university in Ohio, right? Like you don't understand how geography works, well. But my version of that is I have this buttery, like navy blue leather jacket that one of the perks of working at my last company, Intermix, I had a $3,000 clothing allowance, which sounds huge, but when everything is $1,500,
yeah.
it goes really fast. And one of the purchases I got was this like really gorgeous leather jacket that has gotten to the point where people for a while associated me with this leather jacket. Like they were worried when they didn't see me with the leather jacket on. Pandemic ruined it a little bit. Like I'm not lounging in leather as often as you'd think for some reason. But that leather jacket is like, I can be wearing a shirt from Old Navy and leggings, but feel like $1 million by putting that leather jacket on, and usually a red bold lip.
I love that. That's
Mhm.
I can vision it. I'm gonna go searching.
Go to my website. You'll see
for
you'll
that.
see it.
I'm gonna go look as soon as we're done. So give us, if you would, a writing prompt, something that I'm a huge believer in the power of journaling. And so I like to leave everyone with a writing prompt.
No, my writing prompt would be write out a list of who would be 20 people, could be from my present, past, or future, that I'd want to connect with and why.
I love that. 20 people from your past, present, future that you would want to connect with and why. That's fabulous.
So like looking into your LinkedIn, I every once in a while, this is a pro tip. I don't know if you leverage LinkedIn like I do, but I'll export my contacts on LinkedIn, and then I'll filter through and be like, oh my God, this girl from my sorority works at this company. I need to set up like a follow-up date with her.
Wow. That's a great strategy.
And then that way you're staying top of mind, but you're also putting those tiny deposits in, like maybe down the line, a Luna type event will manifest with whatever company she's at.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. And where can we find you? Where can people go to find out everything about Emily to be a part of the community?
Well, check me out at Second Degree Society, all spelled out, not the number 2. And if you ever want to come to an event, you can use code First Timer to be my guest to an event, virtual or in real life. And then on Instagram, I have my own personal Instagram, Emily A. Merrell. I post about motherhood. I love trolling my husband. I post about business coaching, all of the things. So check me out there. Slide into my DMs.
Fabulous. And we will. And I will link all of those in the show notes. So you can go and find Emily, do it today. If you're watching on YouTube, then you see this beautiful smile on this beautiful woman. If you're listening on the podcast sites, go to the YouTube channel so that you can see how bright and cheery this woman is. Emily, thank you for hanging out with us today on Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee.
Thank you so much, Carrie. It was such a pleasure.
Thanks.